right, going to be doing Checkpoint Therapeutics. I got a few members that reached out to me about this and my concerns, because someone wrote a brief little note on Checkpoint, and just a few quick blurbs, but it's a pretty short note. Doesn't really get into too many details, but good point here with the idea that the FDA is kind of pushing back against some of these companies that are trying to do these PD-L1 inhibitors, PD-L1, PD-1, and they're doing the trial exclusively outside the United States, and they're trying to get approved in the United States. Now the FDA is going to say, hey, that was done in, like in this case, China. That's a very homogenous population in terms of genes and backgrounds. You go in the United States, it's a diverse background. You know, you have multiple from different parts of the world, people from different parts of the world. You know, like the United States is America's the melting pot or whatever, right? So the FDA should be like, hey, you know, you just did it all in China. That's not how our population is. So you got to do a little bit more, and I think that's fair. Now, I want to say something. This is an old. Where are we here? This is from 2 months. 2-3 months ago. Yeah, July. So July 8th, and I did a pretty decent dive on the data, and kind of going into some quotes from the company about what they're doing and how they see this moving forward. And then going into the market. But I also did put in here that the FDA, it's basically the same argument, that the FDA is raising their bar. They're not allowing people just to use like phase 1 data just to keep adding, to be the first one, the first immunotherapy, the first PD-1, PD-L1 drug into a certain indication, and be, basically be the first one there and start, grabbing that market as quickly as possible. Because Merck with their Keytruda and Bristol Myers Squibb with their Opdivo, I mean, a few years ago those guys were getting approvals on like a daily basis, essentially. That's an exaggeration, but it seemed like it was. With like basically no data. They were just expanding that label at a drastic rate, which, I think the FDA is kind of seeing that, it's such a, less than half, I think, right now of the people that even they're not even eligible for PD-L1 or PD-1 therapies, because they're either them or their cancer is just not working. It's just not a candidate. It's not going to work. It's a dud, or has no shot. That's not the reason why it's evading the immune system, or whatever it is that they decide the reason why the person is not eligible for that immunotherapy. But the FDA, I'll say this, the FDA could say to Checkpoint, you guys, we need a study to be done inside the United States. It is possible that they're asking for that to determine if it really does work in the United States. Now, I will point out there's a few things that Checkpoint has over, Lilly, who did theirs exclusively in China. All right. There it is. So 40 sites, 9 countries. Now, not the most diverse, but Australia, New Zealand, not really, same thing basically. South Africa, France. So you got some Europe, you got some Asia, Eastern Europe, Asia, Ukraine. So it's not in the United States, it's all outside the United States, but there's some diverse countries, backgrounds, genes. Okay, and the other thing that's big is that the FDA is already they're already supportive of it. They unless the company's lying, which I doubt, they would put that on a slide. And I remember hearing it in at least one conference call that the FDA is supporting their plan for the BLA to use the ex-US data. So for full approval. So we'll see. So I hate to say that, it's not. It is. I am concerned about it. Yes, because I don't know when the FDA said this to them. Was that a year and a half ago, or was that 6 months ago or something. When was it that they said this, and then yet they're still doing this to Lilly? They're still down here, saying Lilly, that's not enough. Coherus, that's not enough. Telling Regeneron, Sanofi that they need to get some more data, bigger trial. So, I mean, maybe the company... I could say this, even if they, reject or send a CRL against Cozy to Checkpoint, the company, if they have this in some sort of communication, and they take minutes, so in some sort of, meeting, some communication, if they have the FDA saying that, and the FDA hasn't said like, hey, we're changing our, view on that. And, so somebody's got to, they have, I don't want to say leverage, but the FDA says, yeah, we're good to go. And then, so what are you going to do as a company? Yeah, you're going to go with that. You're going to do your filing. You're going to do all these things and move it forward. Until the FDA says no. I mean, I'm sure at some point, somebody from the company said, like, send a communication when we'll figure out when they submit their BLA if the, it should be a pretty quick return to center if the FDA is not willing to support the approval just because of where the data came from. I don't think they'll get a refusal to file, but I'd have to imagine someone's going to say something. Anyway, so that's the Cozy not being approved because outside the United States. I would say it is a concern, but I'm not like freaking out about it because of the trial setup and the fact that someone at least said at the FDA that we're willing to go forward with that. So what's that? The other thing is that, hey, they're having trouble with getting their non-small cell lung cancer all the way through. Trials are not going to get through it. Okay, maybe they have to stop the trial. I mean, are they completely terminating? I don't think so. Especially if this gets approved, they're going to keep pushing forward. They have to figure out something. That's okay. I'm okay with the company slowing down on everything else until this is complete, until Cozy's completely through on at least one metastatic or locally advanced CSCC. All right. If that happens, great. Then they can push through with all, expand that label as quickly as possible. And plus they have, they have other, like, look right here. They got 2 other candidates. I'm not freaking out about Checkpoint right now. It's just, especially if we go with valuations. The money is probably my biggest concern right now. They have very little cash. So they're going to have to raise money soon, very soon. They're doing a decent job so far. I think they haven't diluted extensively. In terms of their track record of raising cash, they haven't crushed, shareholder value. I think they have a chance to start looking for partnerships, commercial partnerships, either inside the United States, so they sell a decent amount off for commercial partnership here. They probably don't have a lot of leverage right now because it's not approved, but maybe there's somebody out there that knows that this is probably going to be approved. They are aware of the FDA's communication with Checkpoint, and they're willing to, pay a solid upfront payment, which would hopefully, prevent any sort of further dilution, at least in the near term, and then, go with royalties and milestone payments. Maybe the company could get rid of at least one of these other assets. They could sell that off, and there's always partnerships outside the United States. So maybe they look for a partner in China or in Europe, some sort of ex-US partnership to develop and commercialize Cozy or one of their other assets outside the United States. So they have a lot going. I think they have enough going for them that we should not be freaking out. The other thing I'd like to point out is that, we're worried about the long-term, fundamental thesis. Is this a good company? Is the drugs going to work? Can this company, the management, figure out how to commercialize and get this thing going? Yes, that is a concern, but for the main thing is what we're trying to do is make money here, right? And how we're doing that is not necessarily a fundamental story, but is, can our shares that we bought it at, can we get it sold where we want? So really it comes down to technicals. And if we look at the chart here, she's been under control for, they spiked it back. What was that? It was in the fall, right? Yeah. So about, I remember that was November. Nice solid spike. I took a nice huge. I mean, I was lucky. This is obviously before I launched the marketplace service, but I sold it, and I've been house money. I have been adding, and I think my first ad was, sadly, I don't know, it wasn't that long ago. I was adding small, but then once we got below the buy one, and then when I hit buy two, I was smashing it up big. So I don't say I'm overweight at all. I don't think I have a heavy position, but let's take a look at the technicals and why I'm not freaking out right now. One, sold off, double bottom, right? Then we had bullish divergence going on with the RSI. We could see that we have the RSI following the trend. Look at this, nice strong right here. In terms of the go, no go, we're on the green and blues. We're looking good. Anchored VWAP from this high. We're trading above. Came down, retested above our buy one target. And not a hammer, but pretty decent bounce. Part of that's probably the ticker, and then a good chunk of that is just the sector in general, especially small caps. Mid-June is kind of where we could see a bottom here. Mid-June is where biotech got a solid bounce, and Checkpoint's kind of following that as well. The one thing I'm considering is adjusting my buy threshold. Now that we've created enough volume down here, that's where we probably should consider spots where we want to start adding or initiate a position. Now that especially we have the 200-day EMA under it, I'm probably moving our buy threshold to probably like around 160, 170. I'll do some math, see where the standard deviations are really going to hold. So what does that mean? I'm probably going to move my sell one down, probably pretty close to where the buy threshold is now too. Again, I'll figure that out, but that might be a good idea. So that'd be my personal sell one, and I'll move the sell two down as well, probably to the sell one area. But I'm just not looking to de-risk, but if my average right now is if you're getting under $1, and if I can take a 50% profit real quick, that's fine with me, and then a few 100% profit to get that after that for house money, that's fine. I don't think anybody can argue against that, and I quite frankly think it would be foolish not to take some profits at 50, 60, 70% if you can, especially if it's in an effort to de-risk your position, right? We don't want to be sitting here with tens of thousands of dollars in a speculative name. These guys don't have anything on the market, right? They don't have anything, and they're burning cash. So when you have a chance to book some profit, personally, I like to get my original investment out of the market, and the only thing that's left is the profit. That's what's sitting there. I've even booked some profit, so it's even less than the house money. It's all house money, but I remove my original investment plus some profit. So no matter what, at that point, Checkpoint can go to zero. all the way down to zero. Double zeros, delisted, completely junk, gone. And yet, I still walked away with some green. And what that allows me to do is to like, oh, it failed, it didn't, or the FDA wants to, in this case, says you got to do a whole nother trial, and it's going to need a whole bunch of cash and dilution. It sucks, but I'm not sitting here losing my original investment and, kicking and screaming, well, why did I want to go? Why wouldn't I want to be involved in this ticker? Right? Let's go to that. Let's talk about why I'm sitting here. I mean, again, I'm not in a troubled distressed situation in terms of am I in the red. But this could be a drug that competes with multi-billion drugs that pull in billions of dollars in revenue. Huge markets, right? Let's take a look at valuation. Well, actually, that's a bad one. Because they don't pull any money. Let's go market cap. Okay, 125 million. Now, I always say this is, estimates, and it's of course from analysts. But, potential approval next year. And I always like to look at the low end here, but let's say like in 2 or 3, like my time horizon for anything speculative is almost 5 years post approval. So we're looking at 2029. That's where I would be really looking for. What is going on with this thing? Seeking Alpha having some issues here. 2029. Right? Am I on annual? Yeah, I'm good. 400 million. Now that's only coming from one person, right? But like 400 million in revenue. Right now we're 129. And you can see that's the low end. So that's only one analyst. So the second analyst, assuming all right, so if we went to that one, 500 something million. Yeah, we're 125 right now. Less than 5 years. We're almost in 2023. Less than 5 years, we're going to be looking at 500 million in revenue. Again, even if the FDA says no go, we got to wait another couple years for you guys got to do a whole nother trial in the United States just to prove some sort of confirmation or something like that. You'd have to dilute. You would have to dilute this company like 3 times. You have to triple the outstanding shares for it to still remove its upside potential. I'm not saying that bodes well for the share price for the next few years, but like worst case scenario, I mean the drug so far has proved it works. It's not a huge trial. I understand. It's not outside. It's been outside the United States. I understand. But I have yet to see anything that proves that the drug does not work. I've yet to see anything. The FDA's been like, yeah, looks good, great, keep it coming. Again, they could just say no, but so sorry that I'm going on a rant here, but it's a little bit of a, I'm making a point here, which is, you hear one bad news, gosh, I mean, every single speculative ticker in the BioBoom portfolio has a major red flag to it, and that's why it's in the BioBoom portfolio. Even ACAD, which has a great approved drug, like their big problem is that it looked like it was going to be great in almost every, basically neurological indication you can possibly think of, and they're failing at it. They're not getting, well, I shouldn't say they're failing. They're coming up short, or they're doing a bad trial. Like, it's, trial structure. Something is wrong, and it's not perfect, and they're burning through cash. Like, there's reasons why ACAD is still in BioBoom despite, massive growth. IBRX, they have just about every program you can possibly want from an oncology and immunotherapeutic company. They've got NK cells, T cell, no, I shouldn't say T cells, but NK cells. They have immunostimulants, multiple different types of vaccines. Some of the best numbers so far in the clinic that you can find, and some of the worst indications, and it's still a highly speculative name. Schrodinger, another ticker. These guys they're getting growth in their like their platform, computational platform is being used by institutions, companies, universities for drug discovery. And they're also making their own drugs. They're developing and pushing it through the regulatory pathway, their own drugs. So they've got growing revenue from their software, and then they have the huge upside potential of having their own drugs. Still BioBoom. Blue just got approved. They might be approved next week for another one, which actually I think had better data and better case than the other one. So I'm pretty bullish on approval. Still extremely speculative. I mean, they gotta get that both of those therapies, at least one, but possibly two therapies that are gene therapies, through all the insurance companies, and see if they're going to even support it in almost any way. $1 million therapies. No one's going to get it if the insurance companies going to fail to support it. Clovis. I mean, some of these names, they're in much better shape. EBS, I know they're having a rough time, but they have revenue. They're pretty close to being profitable when they need to be. They're paying for growth. I don't know, there's just plenty of other names in here that have drugs in the market, basically de-risked, and yet still speculative. So my point to that is, you get involved in these names, you have to, willingly sit there and say, I could lose this all on a hit piece. I mean, what's his face? Adam Feuerstein or whatever his name is. That guy can write like a 300 word note, and with just thoughts, just basic observations with little to no insight on it, on the actual situation, and hammer the share price, because you got trading desks around the world that just they see his name and whatever, it's just a dinner bell to short it. He could be completely wrong. I mean, I remember he was wrong about, what was it, Cytidine. He had they had to send they sent a letter to the guy saying, you got to remove it. They had to remove it because it was wrong. It was factually incorrect. But you know what? The share price didn't go back to where it was. The people that helped him out, that were interested in him writing that article, they did it right, and all he had to do was retract it. Again, I'm sorry for the rant, but we have to be, when you're playing in small cap biotech land, you're going to see people, I don't want to say shake the tree, but rattle your convictions, especially when you're looking for a reason. That's fine. And then the share price performance, this is what big money wants, right? They're waiting for the algos grinding this down. You could see the clean lines, right? Where it's coming in, busts out, comes back down, busts out. All coming from high points, right? They get it. They get down to the price that they want, so it's nice and de-risked, and that's why we're down here. We're looking for de-risked prices. I mean, is there anything else in here? I think it looks like it probably just did another one here. Yeah, there was another one. 2, pops out, retests it. Look at that. I mean, this is not perfect. I need to bring it in a little bit more, but we pop out, stay out, come down, finally retest it, and then we hammer back up on green volume. Right? I don't even have the monthly in there. Oh no, I want the daily with the monthly, I'm sorry. Yeah, we have the monthly rising on the, yeah, so there's BLA submission, we might see a pop. Obviously, we got to get above this 155, what would it be? Yeah, 155. 200-day EMA is going to be rough. So I don't think we're getting over 200 anytime soon. We're going to have a nice anchored volume here. Yeah, we might have to move that sell target to about where the buy threshold is, and then bring the buy threshold probably down to the 160s. Well, yeah, anything under 150 area. So personally, I'm not looking to add to it, even though we're considerably under a buy threshold, and it's on technicals. Now, most of these, the buy threshold's mostly a fundamental number, but I think there's so much pressure down here now. We got anchored volumes. Volume shelves, and then moving average. Some of these big time, long-standing moving averages are starting to put the pressure down. So we got to really be selective when we're going to push the buy button. And then on spikes in share price, if we get a 30%, 40% spike in share price because of a partnership or a BLA submission, that's probably a time to book some profits and then anticipate a quick retraction, reversion back to where it was, and maybe look to compound, because that's what we do. Try to take those profits that you took and then restart the buying process with those profits, and at least keep some of them on the sideline. So at least you're, like I said, we're talking about de-risking, going to house money. So that could be your game plan, something that I'm looking to do. Now, timelines, they're talking fourth quarter. Usually when you hear fourth quarter, end of fourth quarter, it's amazing how many companies are, putting out press releases about finally, they're like, oh, we'll do in Q4, and then, it's like Christmas Eve, and they're getting stuff in before the market closes and stuff. Well, that's not Christmas Eve, but, right before Christmas or right before New Year's. Last few days of the year, markets open, they're trying to get those last minute submissions in. It happens. So that's it. And then after that, who knows what they're going to give them in terms of the review time, but at least looking into it's going to be the second half of the year, probably close to this time. If they do that, it'd probably be around maybe August or September. Again, depending on when they submit, but you're definitely looking at a second half of the year at this point, I think, 2023, and then potential launch 2020, end of 23, maybe into 24. But that all comes down to how they're going to do it, who they're going to have their commercial partnership with. If they don't, if they do, I hope they do, because that'll give them some cash. It'll also de-risk. You get a reputable partner there that knows how to push drugs, sell stuff, get it done. Don't have to worry about hiring out a sales force. So that could be a huge thing in terms of a catalyst, and also some influx of money. All right. I apologize for the jumbled, but this was kind of, from the hip here. Things just racing in and me blurbing it out. So that's that. If you guys have any questions, put it in the chat room, or you can, most of you guys usually send me messages privately. That's fine if you don't want to put it in the chat room. I will be doing another article on Checkpoint very soon, kind of going over what I just talked about, and then I'll probably be taking a deeper look into the company's other classes or other assets there, and just talking about the path forward. Okay. So I will be adjusting those price targets probably tonight or tomorrow, and that will be into the marketplace and into our sheets, so you guys can have that. All right. Okay, I hope that helped, and I'll do another video, I think probably tonight or tomorrow, on at least, what was the one that I was going to do? Oh, edit, EDIT. All right, talk to you guys later.